We quickly overnight had to become a digital company. We did a lot of free workshops and trainings the first year of the pandemic. And then we always knew that we'd have a digital component, but we didn't think that it would happen this quickly. The silver lining was that we reached women for the last 5 years all across the country and sometimes abroad too, with our virtual training of the Reinvention Collective, our signature training for women in midlife career transition.
Buckle up for a new episode of the D.A.R.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance in everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Welcome to the D.A.R.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And today is a special day because I don't just have one amazing lady guest with me. I have two powerful women that I am bringing with you today. And I'm excited to be talking with both of them. We've been chatting behind the scenes. They're both super fun. They both have amazing fun facts that they're going to share with us at the end that we've discovered. So welcome to the D.A.R.E podcast, Linda Lautenberg and Judy Schoenberg. So excited to have you both here with me today.
Great to be
Thanks,
here.
Heidi.
Thanks so much, Heidi.
Absolutely. So we're going to dive in and learn more about you, both amazing women and your business. Before we dive into the conversation, though, I'm going to just do a brief intro on you both. So everybody listening, meet Judy Schoenberg and Linda Lautenberg, the dynamic duo revolutionizing women's career development. As co-founders of EvolveMe, they are transforming how organizations develop and retain female talent and how women navigate their professional journeys in midlife. Their secret weapon? The innovative D.A.R.E method, a career development approach that is earning rave reviews from clients who describe it as life-changing and the best professional investment they've ever made. Their fresh approach to professional development has caught the attention of major media outlets, including Fast Company, Forbes.com, CNN.com, and Reuters World at Work. As sought-after experts on career transformation, they contribute to HR Magazine, FairyGodBoss.com, and leading career podcasts. So ladies, I normally kick this show off with asking, is what you're doing now something that, you know, you've always had a passion to be doing and you just knew at a young age, this is the career path you're on? Or is this something that evolved as part of your journey? Does that question pertain to where you are now with either one of those?
Yeah, and I think Judy and I will have slightly different answers for this question.
Perfect.
So I will say for me, like I really kind of fell into my first career, which I think happens to a lot of people. So I grew up in the Midwest. I had an opportunity to take a job that in finance that was going to put me in New York City. And I kind of took it with blinkers on because I was going to be able to do that. And I was in finance for a number of years, and then took a caregiving break and never really thought about, even though the industry that I was in was very male dominated, I didn't really spend a lot of time then thinking about women versus not women. But when I went to return to the workforce, I just assumed I could hop back in. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I'm 50. Maybe that's an issue. And also, I haven't worked. Like I've been busy and doing a lot of good work, but I haven't been paid. I haven't been in the formal workforce for 16 years. I don't even know what I want to do anymore. I think my skills aren't fresh. And all of a sudden I realized like this, and I looked around me at all my other friends and the same thing that was happening to all of them. Like everybody thought, wait a minute, we took this break to take care of our families, thinking we could just jump back in. And now we're thinking that we don't know what we're qualified for anymore. We used to all be hot shots in our companies with our multiple degrees, qualified to load a dishwasher. Like what do we even want to do anymore? That honestly, that was the real nut that I had, was that at this stage of my life, I was a different person than a person that was sitting doing deals on a trading desk. And so I didn't even know what I wanted to do. And I tried to Google my way out of this. I tried to look for other groups that could help me work through this in midlife, and there was just nothing. And
Mm.
so then later, when I met Judy, when we were contracting for another company, we met happenstance. We both came to this idea that there's something needs to be done, because it's just really sad to hit this point in your life and all of a sudden feel that you don't know what to do next, or that maybe there's nothing next for you.
Yeah, you feel very lost.
Yeah.
Linda, thank you for that. I love also just rehearing your story time and
Mhm.
again. Always have a fresh perspective on it. And Linda and I complement each other in many different ways. That'll probably unfold as we continue in this conversation. But so my story is a little bit different. I didn't dream about starting a small business when I was young, although I was just reflecting the other day that my father was an entrepreneur, like two or three time entrepreneur. Then my mother joined the business too. So I always kind of had that in my DNA. I just didn't activate it until much later in life as a second or third career. So I was in the nonprofit sector for most of my career, focused on women and girls leadership development and youth development. And when I was young, I was actually saying this the other day, we just kicked off a cohort of our training yesterday. And I was saying how I always cared about fairness. I thought I wanted to be a judge and equality when I was younger. And then I kind of just started focusing on understanding that differences in opportunity with women and men in college. Before that, I wasn't really thinking about it. And that's when I kind of, from college going forward, I knew I wanted to do something like mission driven in the nonprofit sector. I did have a trajectory for about 20 plus 25 years that was very much focused on my early, I guess, passions and interests growing out of college. I was a feminist and gender studies minor and literature major. And so that all came together and did a lot of community service. But I never thought that I would have my own business. I never thought that I would leave the nonprofit sector. It was so core to my identity. And so I guess it was like kind of a leveraging of my interests and kind of like figuring out how I could transfer them to new opportunities. I knew I wanted more. I was a mother throughout my time in the nonprofit sector. I knew I wanted more flexibility as my kids were getting older, more autonomy, more creativity. And starting your own business really gave you all of those things and a lot more that I had no idea. Linda and I think, there's it's a big lift, especially lifting off a company during a pandemic. So,
Yeah.
but that's another angle to our story. Anyway, so yeah, I guess like I never dreamed of this work, but it did evolve in a way that really makes sense to me now when I look back across my trajectory.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing your different stories and journeys of how you got here, because it seems like the universe just aligned and brought you both
Mhm.
together
Yeah.
with the gap of not knowing what to do when you're in your 50s and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go back to work. And a lot of women have this. They find their way, like
Mhm.
they're now empty nesters and they're like, okay, I get to move into the next chapter. And now there's a whole new emotional roller coaster of going, wait a minute, how am I going to re-enter? Am I too old? Am I
Mhm.
just, do I have the skills? Am I even needed or wanted anymore in in
Mhm.
the workforce? And that could be a very scary journey in many different ways, emotionally, mentally, and then you working with women, young women, all this whole time. Judy is powerful to merge those two worlds together. And then Judy, you going from nonprofit work to entrepreneurship is a whole new ballgame in itself and navigating that journey. So let's dive into that if you don't mind. Can you share what are some of the challenges you all faced when you decided, okay, you came together, you decided like there's this gap. We want to work with women because that's Judy, that's who you worked with. And, Linda, you're like, I'm a woman. This is my problem I had, and I know other women are having it. And this is a
Yeah.
problem that's out there. Nobody else is solving it, which
Mhm.
could be scary in itself because when in the coaching space, we're always told you want to do something that people are already doing. There's proof
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
concept, proof of success. So you're not creating a new wheel, right? The wheel works.
Mhm.
Let's not try to create something different. And you literally are creating a new space for yourselves. So can you share with us some of the challenges you faced in launching and getting this business off the ground, and how did you overcome them?
Well, before challenges, I will say that we were really lucky, not just in that we were thrown together, but we did have a trial run. So
Okay.
we were hired separately as contractors. for a startup that eventually ran out of funding. But so we had a trial run working together, um, building out a program for women that were returning to the workforce in the social impact space. So we had that trial run. We had a proof of concept, not necessarily out in the marketplace, but we had that proof of concept of putting together a program and then watching the magic happen in the room and really seeing the impact that we were able to have on these other women and how we were able to see the transformation from start to finish, right? So
Yeah.
we knew we had something there. We also had, as co-founders, and a lot of times we'll find people that are entrepreneurs are really jealous that we have a co to balance things off with, but we'd had that trial run of working together. So we had a full year of being able to see that our strengths and the things that that we like to do, and this is all goes into figuring out your next career chapter too, right?
Yeah.
They were very complementary. So
Mhm.
we also had a trial run and working together. So while we were starting something new, we had had our own internal proof of concept. And that was also because of the feedback that we got from that experience. We had that feedback that women were saying, I have friends that are working currently and they want a next chapter so badly, but they
Mhm.
can't find the time to find that clarity or even think about what they might want to do because they're too busy working and caregiving simultaneously.
Right.
So that's a whole other bucket. And so we wanted to be able to focus on niche down on women that were in midlife that were having all of these things happen, and even some women that are dealing with kids and parents at the same time. And so that's where we niched down. So that was I'll let Judy address a couple of challenges, but we did have that proof of concept and opportunity to work together first.
Sure. Thanks, Linda. I guess one of the major challenges when we launched was that we decided to be an in-person company in New York City, doing professional development training in person, bringing intimate groups of cohorts together. And quickly, we were recruiting for our first cohort that was supposed to start April 2020. We were just reflecting on just kind of what March was like 5 years
Yeah.
ago, 2020, just this week was the shutdown. We quickly overnight had to become a digital company. We did a lot of free workshops and trainings the first year of the pandemic. And then we always knew that we'd have a digital component, but we didn't think that it would happen this quickly. The silver lining was that we reached women for the last 5 years all across the country and sometimes abroad too, with our virtual training of the Reinvention Collective, our signature training for women in midlife career transition. We've had 10 cohorts thus far. We were really successful in reaching a broader swath of women this way. Some of the other challenges have been just thinking about how we scale our business as well. We do these individual trainings, and a few years ago, we decided to not just be focused on B2C, but B2B. So we are developing partnerships with companies focused on advancing women and allies in the workplace so that they love their jobs even more. It really helps with retention and employee engagement and satisfaction and fulfillment at work. We help professionals find more meaning in the roles that they have, beat burnout, resilience. So all these things that are now so important as the world of work has changed over the
Yeah.
last 5 years. So as we've been tracking all the changes, we've been adapting and evolving our company along with the changes so that we can meet employees where they're at, individual women where they're at. The challenges have become opportunities for us in our
Right.
business. And that's really, I think, a mindset that has allowed us to grow and stay afloat and be there, we know that just in general, adaptability in the workplace is like the number one skill set that you need right now because things are changing with technology so quickly and with the market and the economy now. So these challenges, I think, because of the mindset that Linda and I bring to the work, have expanded our thinking and got us to think more innovatively and creatively. And it's kind of like and then we realize, oh wow, like this is actually what being an entrepreneur is. It's
Mhm.
constantly pivoting. It's
Yeah.
real, it's you never just staying in place. And that's something that I never really thought about so much, especially coming from the legacy organization where it was so hard to make change. And now like we have this opportunity to change and adapt, as we see fit and as, our community and clients are asking for.
And if I could say another way that another challenge, once we had to do that major challenge of adapting to being virtual, and now we're doing our cohorts in person. We just launched our first in-person cohort yesterday. On the corporate side, we were so excited to realize that all this work, which is really like a lot of internally focused work that we were doing in the Reinvention Collective, was so applicable to corporate work. And so we amassed a lot of women's ERGs as clients and things like that, and have been doing a lot to advance women in the workforce. And then along the way, we would have companies say, wait, can the men come too? Can everybody come? And of course, everybody can come, because this is work that everybody should be doing, which has now prepared us for the current climate that we're at, because now there's just a little different focus and a different climate in terms of ERGs and things like that, and business resource groups. And so rather than throwing up our hands and saying, well, there goes our whole business, what it's forcing us to really do is think about, okay, but let's think about what is the work that we're really doing here, right? So yes, on the for who, but now let's really drill down on the what and the why, and why, we do women's workshops and men want to come too. So really narrowing down on the what, and using this instead of a challenge as trying to turn that challenge into an opportunity to refocus.
Yeah, there's so much that you all just shared right there. And one is the pivot, and then the what and the why. And you didn't say the one word, which is the how, which is key, which is what I heard. You did not say the how, and that's important. So for those of you listening who are in entrepreneurship or thinking about going into entrepreneurship, pivoting is something that can be very scary. And you're like, I can't pivot. People are going to think that I failed. And that's a really scary piece of entrepreneurship, going, well, I got to stick with what I'm doing. I might be miserable at it. It may not be working, but if I switch gears here, I'm going to look like a failure. And at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is all about pivoting and evolving. And even when you're successful, even entrepreneurs that are successful, and I'm not saying you could be successful and still be pivoting. One, as like, I didn't start in business strategy. I didn't start in visibility. I started in health and wellness, and I hated it. It was a totally different ball game virtually. In 12 years after I had been out of the business, I came back into working, just like I was a stay-at-home mom. All of a sudden, I'm finding myself through a divorce, need to figure things out, worked 2 jobs and said, I'm going to be a coach. What are you going to coach on? Things I knew health and wellness. But when I got to the online space, it was a whole new ballgame. There was niche. It was niche. It wasn't like being in a gym one-on-one, sitting down with their goals, doing their body fat, and then creating a diet plan. Now we're talking gut health, diabetics. What else was there? Whatever there was, keto. There were so many different versions of health and wellness. And I just was like, I do not have the passion to learn something down and drill down. So I did transformation, which was what I was moving through. I was transforming my life, and I was helping women with goal setting, because I did that in health and wellness. I was like, I can do this. And then it evolved into, as they were growing, they wanted to start businesses. So I became their coach in that. And so that's a key point that I really wanted to just make sure we touched on, because it could be scary to feel like, oh my gosh, I have to pivot, but I don't want to be seen as a failure, or I'm successful, but this isn't my lane anymore. I'm just not, or the world is just forcing you to make changes, right? So I just wanted to share that it's important to know that in entrepreneurship, pivoting is going to happen. You're growing and evolving, pivoting, quote unquote, the word pivoting, and it may not can be considered a full pivot. There's partial something that's going to just be ready for it. It's going to happen, and it's okay. That actually means you're growing, means you're moving forward. You're not staying stagnant, or you're not going backward. So pivoting doesn't mean you're going backward. That's what I wanted to make sure. And then Linda, what did you say that I touched on too? You just said something, and it was really, really important that I wanted to talk into.
The how and
the how and the what and the who. Yeah, you said the what and the who, and you didn't say the how. And that's one thing too. When it comes to entrepreneurship and building a business, if you focus on the how, you're not going to get anywhere. Focusing on the who. who are you
Mm-hmm.
helping and who can help you help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, when you're focusing on the who and the why, and also the what's the
Mm-hmm.
transformation you're getting them? What's the
Mm-hmm.
problem you're solving? And what's the result that they're looking for? Whether it's what's the pain point they have or what's that pleasure point that they're looking for? You focus on that and you focus on who you're helping and who can help you help more people. Like I'm a
Mm-hmm.
who. I'm a who for Linda and for Judy, right? They're a who for me because they're going to
Mm-hmm.
share this podcast
Mhm.
out there and the
Mm-hmm.
who's of the people that we're helping. So that was something that's super important because so many people focus on the how. How am I going to get there? How am I going to do this? What do I do
Mm-hmm.
next? It's don't focus on that, focus on the who and the what. So beautiful. And I'm sorry I went on that tangent, but it was just so much goodness there. So can you share with us, you have a method and I'm in my 50s, so this really intrigues me what you do. And I'm very
Mhm.
appreciative of what you're doing because I know a lot of women out there need this. And now you're finding men are wanting this too. Like they're like, I get to be here too. Because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of dads, single dads,
Mhm.
stay-at-home
So
dads,
many
or
dads.
people that reverse the roles. The woman
Yeah.
was the money maker, right? The breadwinner, and the dad stayed at home. And that's not abnormal now these days. So now maybe the man is moving back into the workforce or he's ready
Mm-hmm.
to pivot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that you brought that into it. So can you share with us the D.A.R.E method and what that looks like and what it is?
Sure. I can kick it off.
Yeah.
And Linda can chime in if she wants. So the DARE method, no pun intended, right? You have to have courage and be brave and be daring, take risks, right? To do this work and kind of get out of your comfort zone and believe in yourself and surround yourself with other people that believe in you, is key. And that's why we do this work in groups. So the DARE method stands for discover, amplify, refresh, and embark, the acronym. And it goes from doing kind of, Linda mentioned this before, but the inside work and like the internal work first, and then moving to like the external work and the marketing of yourself and creating a professional portfolio. Because so many people, skip over the internal work and want to jump to, okay, can you help us? They're in transition. Can you help me with my resume? Can you help me with my LinkedIn? We're like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, I'm not sure. I just need it needs to be updated. We're like, okay, well, that's not how, it's not going to work well for you that way. And we hear from a lot of women we work with having put out 200 resumes and getting crickets, right? Because the algorithm is not picking up, what they have in their resume because it's not targeted to any specific industry or role. So we start from the beginning, right? And really spend a lot of time in the discover part of our program method to really rediscover like our talents, our skills, our strengths. We have a bias to like leading with your strengths instead of fixing all your weaknesses, thinking about your transferable skills and your portable skills, like whether it's from, we work with a lot of women who have taken breaks, right? And say like, well, what are my skills now? Those were old skills. That's not me anymore. Those are still your skills. Even the skills that you used in the paid workforce 15 years ago are still your skills. They're not owned by any company or title or role, right? They're yours to own. And also, this is always like a bright spot for the people we work with when they realize, oh wow, like the pro bono work that I've been doing with the PTA, the volunteer work, the other like the unpaid work, and those types of project work. Those are all skills that I have now to add to my resume and to leverage as transferable skills and portable skills. So it's really we do spend a lot of time kind of clarifying like what are your whole skill sets, what are your talents, and also like what lights you up now, the things that you can do. Like for example, like I was a researcher in the past, like I can do research jobs, but when I was making my transition, it didn't mean that I wanted to do that anymore. Just because I
Right,
could do it doesn't mean
right.
I should do it, right? So we try to like get rid of all those shoulds, especially in this beginning part where you want to be open to all these different possibilities, right? And again, it's easier to do that when you have other women mirroring some of your own talents and skills, especially because people like have low confidence around owning their own value. It's really hard to own your own skill sets, and sometimes having people echo it back to you is easier. So we do a lot of work around that, and then we go into creating like what we call a pivot pitch. You might know it as like an elevator pitch, but like we talked a lot about pivots already. How are you, transforming kind of what your mission is now, like leveraging specific transferable skills, technical skills into a new direction, right? And creating like a career story, right? You're not just a list of all the experiences on your resume, right? We really want to create a narrative, a story about where you were, what you're interested in now, and where you hope to go. And that will help not only you clarify things, but also help other people understand how they can help you, right? Because if you can't share that compellingly, right, and be visible in that way, it's going to be hard for other people to support you. And then after the pitch, and you have more clarity, you feel more comfortable and more confident, maybe putting yourself out there. We do a lot of practice around that. Only then do we go, and that's amplifying your voice. That's the section of the method there. Only then do we go on to the next phase of our method, which is all about refreshing your toolkit. So we work with expert contributors along with Linda and I, who have done trainings on these topics, refreshing your resume to be really targeted, right, for your future direction. Rebranding your LinkedIn. You may have a LinkedIn, you may have a picture with you, like with, like your face is there, but it's obvious that like children have been cut out of the picture. So it's not a professional picture. So like really having your about section, your photo, your headline be compelling, be your personal brand. So we do a lot of work around personal branding, and that's foreign to women in midlife.
Very foreign to women, because that's a newer thing since social media has really like stepped up. And I would say, what's that, 10, 15 years, even maybe
Yeah.
younger than that, where branding is really important. And you don't think about that when it comes to your resume.
No,
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
think, in fact, LinkedIn is even more important, we see, than a resume now, because recruiters and like hiring managers, that will go straight to your LinkedIn. Yes, you
Okay.
need a resume, but like your LinkedIn is really, your
The calling
professional
card, business
presence,
card. Yeah.
right? It's like, it's the gateway to opportunities. So
Mhm.
you want that to really reflect who you are. So we do a lot of work around that. And then we go into some of the nuts and bolts about networking, how to do it, when to do it. There's a lot of kind of trepidation sometimes around that too. And then we go into interviewing. A lot of the women want to secure, more conventional roles. Some don't. Some want to become entrepreneurs or develop side hustles, but you always need interviewing skills, even for, networking purposes and, contract work or, wherever you're pursuing your interests. And then that takes us around the method, and we say that it's an iterative process. Like once you go around the cycle once, like as we were talking about career evolutions, you might have to go around it again in a year from now. Where you land right after you go through this process, it might not be the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but that's exciting, right? Because it's more normalized now for people to take pauses, for people to take roles for 2 years at a time and then change. You're not deemed as like flighty. I think in the past, like when, of our generation, it was seen that way. But the millennials and the generation coming up after them, like it's very normal to have short stints and pauses and things like that. And the pandemic, I think, gave us that too. So we're really excited for this cohort to get started and on our method. And it's also applicable for many parts of it we've been using in our corporate work as well.
So if somebody's new, like literally they're coming out of re-entering the workforce. That's who you work with, women, like women and now possibly men in their midlife who are now wanting to re-enter. So they may not have a LinkedIn. So what does that look like? How do they, especially if somebody's hearing you going, oh my gosh, they're going to go to LinkedIn. I don't even have a profile. I don't know how to start one. What if they go there and I've got nothing there? Like I'm now behind, I feel like I'm behind the eight ball even more. So what would they
Yeah, I mean, so that happens. I was raising my hand before when Judy said cutting your face out of, like, literally when I put my LinkedIn up the first time, I didn't even have a picture of myself by myself, right? I had to cut myself out of a family picture to put it up there. There's this whole fear. Once you're aware of LinkedIn, now it's a big scary thing. People are going to look for me. It's fine. Nobody's looking. It's okay. It's more important to just do that inner work that Judy was talking about first. Once you have gone through and done that inner work, so you understand what you bring to the table, what you're looking to do in the future, and you have that confidence to move forward, and you've worked on your pivot pitch, so that you can talk about yourself and own your career story, talk about moving forward. It's kind of exciting to put it all out on paper in a resume or on LinkedIn, which LinkedIn being so much more, giving you so much more flexibility to really showcase who you are, like in your banner, in your about section. So that's what we find is tell people not to worry about it. That's like, that is so not
Right.
beside the point, but that is for after. And when we get to that point, you're going to be excited to put yourself out there because
Right.
you're going to be clear about what you want to talk about. I think a lot of that trepidation comes from starting, if you're starting out at that point, feeling like you don't have worth to put out there, or that you're worried about a long career gap, or that it's going to look strange because you've been in one industry for a long time. So trying to explain that pivot. So once you get to the point where you've owned that story, then it's exciting and fun to put it out there.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from you and what I want the audience and the listeners to take away is if this is you, and this could be you, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're
Mhm.
like, I want to go back to corporate, or I have a position I'm in right now, but I'm not happy there. I know a lot of people that are like, I haven't made had to write a resume in 15, 20 years. That
Mhm.
alone is scary. So you could be listening going, okay, I want to make a pivot, but I'm in the workforce. But
Mhm.
that step of having to figure out a resume and starting over when I haven't made one or written one in 15 years is just really, really nerve-wracking. So this is you, this episode is for you. And you need to
Mhm.
reach out to Linda and Judy because they're going to help you move forward. And the whole key is take action. Action brings
Mhm.
clarity.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
can do it messy. You can fall on your face one, two, three,
Mhm.
4 times and it's only going to get you to where you need to go. But if you don't do anything, you're going to be in the same spot you are next year. And
Right.
that's the key. Fall forward multiple times to get where you are in 3 months versus staying stuck where you are a year from now. And that's like we have a saying in entrepreneurship, messy makes me millions. When you're looking for a job that may not resonate, but at the same time, messy is going to get you where it is. Perfection will
Mhm.
keep you stuck. Nobody
Right.
likes perfect. People are not going to
Mm-mm.
hire perfect. So get
Mm-mm.
perfection out of it because whatever you submit's never going to be perfect enough
Yeah.
in your eyes anyway. So just action. And the more action you take, the more clear you're going to get. And I love, Judy, that you shared about the skills as far as anything you've done. So if you were a stay-at-mom, home mom like I was, I'm an entrepreneur. If I had to go back in the workforce, I'd be like, okay, what are my skills? I run a
Mhm.
business, breaking down all the things and
Breaking down.
being a stay-at-home mom. What did I do? I loved animal rescue. Those are things. I was an executive director of a nonprofit. Those are skills that grant writing, like things that I would never think I do in entrepreneurship, but I did it. And those are skills that I have. And again, you can take all those skills and then you can specify it to a specific position that you're looking for, right? You don't have to throw all those skills into one position. You want to niche down into that,
Right.
right? Is that
I
what you're
mean,
saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. What you said just reminded me yesterday that we had a woman in our cohort who was in like marketing and branding, realized how many skills she gained from her pro bono work while she was on break, like a 15 or 16-year break, and became an organizer, a professional organizer. And now she's
Mhm.
like, I have such good organizing and executive functioning skills,
Mhm.
and that she's like, I want to be an office manager now. Completely different career,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
just from the skills that she brought forward from her break. And she hasn't even started working with us yet. So I hope she can think of, go even further.
Yeah, and a lot of times what we have people do is do like kind of what you were leading to a little bit, Heidi. It's almost like a reverse job description.
Yeah.
So first, going back over time in your little mental resume of the different roles you've had or the things that you've done during a career break and breaking those down into tasks and thinking about the skills that you needed to do those things. And then also not forgetting to think about whether you enjoyed those or would enjoy doing that now, right? Because we're not the same person that we were when we were 20,
Right.
right?
Right.
We've evolved and changed. And so, and then once you kind of have that idea of the skills you're bringing to the table and what you love to do, now try writing your own job description,
Yeah.
right? Do it that way instead of making yourself fit into somebody
Mhm.
else's bucket. Try to come up with your own job description and now go out there and see what looks like that.
Yeah. Instead of being so reactive, right? That's
Yeah.
where if you can take back
Proactive. Yeah.
control, if you do what Linda's describing, and then you're like, okay, like I don't just have to fit into somebody else's, like what do I actually want to do? And now how can I target companies that I could do that? Or maybe sometimes people go in and it works out to create roles, like new roles, because they're
Right.
Mhm.
so clear about what they want and how they can add value.
Yeah.
Or
Knowing
you
your worth.
become an entrepreneur.
Right. Knowing your worth and what that brings to the table for the company. It's not fitting into a mold what they have, but really showing them what you can do for them to elevate their business.
Exactly.
And that is key. And that's who people want to hire.
Mhm.
People want to hire forward thinkers and people that they don't have to sit there and spend a lot of money training, right? And
Right.
starting from scratch and then hoping you're going to stick around to get the money out of that training that they gave you. Like know your worth and know your value. And you're going to, that's how a way to stand out from the other people that are applying as well.
Mhm.
So can you both share for people who are listening how to reach out to you, what working with you looks like, how to work with you, what do you have available so somebody can kind of like start taking action, right? Take action to get to the next step on their next steps of possibly working with you.
Sure. So the best way to find out about the work that we do, both sides of our house, both the Reinvention Collective and our corporate workshops, is to go to our website, evolveme.work. Like I said, we just launched this Reinvention Collective now, so that's going to take us through June. But if you're looking to dip your toe in the water and start thinking about your next chapter, there's a freebies tab on our website that has a host of different exercises that you can go through that can be really helpful in just getting you started. And as you said, like taking action, that's the biggest thing that you can do. So just taking that one action, going on our website, like downloading, our Get Going guide or any of the other freebies there, and then actually booking time in your calendar to do them,
Yeah.
right, is a great way to start.
Yeah. So evolveme.work. Listen, that's where
EvolveMe.work.
you
Yep.
go, grab the freebies, do the downloads, do the work, take action. That's the key takeaway today. Take action.
Take
Reach
action.
out to both Judy and Linda. You can find them on social media as well. We'll have all their links in the show notes, but I know they're definitely on LinkedIn and I think you're everywhere else too. So you can find them there. And I have a question for you, but this is more of a fun question before we go. Is there a fun fact about Judy and Linda, each separately, that we wouldn't know by checking out your website or checking out your social media and following you there, like behind the scenes of you ladies?
A fun fact, I'd say, well, I was going to say that I was a born and bred New Yorker, that I have two. So I was a born and bred New Yorker, and people don't tend to think that about me, but it's true. My accent kind of got wiped out in college, but yes, I grew up in
Where'd you go
Queens.
to college?
I went to college outside of Philadelphia.
Oh,
So,
yes.
but with students from all across the country, so it kind
Mhm.
of just became a big accentless, I don't know. I became accentless. And another fun fact is that earlier in my life, in my late 20s and early 30s, I ran a few marathons. So I always thought I'd run another one when I was 50. And then speaking of evolving, I realized that the way that I need to exercise in my evolving body as a 50-year-old is not so much pounding the pavement for those miles, nor do I feel like I have the time for it with
Yeah.
teenagers and business and all of that. So I haven't run another one since, but I do kind of take the perspective of having done it, take it into kind of like perseverance, like the perseverance that you get from putting in all those miles in the training, like translated into like how I approach, I think, my life. And I'm in things usually for like the long haul. So there you go.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. Linda?
So this is so funny. You'll see how Judy and I work so well together because we always just kind of mesh in together. So my first fun fact would be that I've lived on the East Coast forever, and in New York for many, many years, and now in New Jersey. But I was actually born in South Dakota, lived there for 1 year, lived in Nebraska for 4 years, and then grew up in Minnesota the whole, all the way through college. And boy, that Minnesota people
The
people would come
Minnesota?
after me, but Minnesota, they would come after me. I mocked for years. I think it's still there a little bit, but yeah. So I find that there's not a lot of people that move from the Midwest out and not a lot that move from the Midwest in. So
True.
yeah.
And I don't know that
And
I've met
then,
anybody from South Dakota. So that's
yeah,
impressive.
and not a lot of people from South Dakota. So, and then I was laughing at Judy, who's just said, I ran a few marathons because I ran one marathon and I'm really proud of that one marathon. And I think I did it just because I had the opportunity to do it where I was going to school. It made it very easy. So I did it. But I also have just, it's a moment in life, right? We're both in our 50s. I'm going to be 59 this weekend.
Happy
And
birthday.
so I am lifting all the weights that I can, just trying to keep my bones together and upright. And so, like Judy said, that I've really, fitness has always been a really important part of my life, as it has for Judy. And I've really had to evolve that as well, just to continue to be, you know, my best self. So I like that our fun facts kind of
Yeah,
dovetailed there.
Yeah, that's fun. And I will say that being in the fitness space for being a personal trainer, I competed in bodybuilding and figure
wow.
what worked in your 20s and 30s does not work in your 50s. So ladies, if you're young, do what you're doing, but know that
Keep
that's
doing
going
it.
to change and evolve as you change and evolve, especially when that joyful menopause hits that you don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
coming for that either. That's a
Yeah.
whole nother
Yeah,
conversation.
that's a different
Oh,
It's a whole other conversation. And I think I'm on the other side of it finally. I
Yeah,
hit it
me
early.
yeah.
too.
I hit it very
Yay.
early, but I haven't had a knock on wood, and I don't know where wood is. But hot sweat or hot flash in a while that I can
I'm
remember.
having one right now.
Oh, my heart's with you. Because they are from the inside out, people, from the inside out. It's a whole nother world. But okay, last question. We got to go. What is, if you could have lunch or conversation, dinner, lunch, dinner with anyone, famous person, whether it's political, famous, whatever, theater, whatever it looks like for you, who would that be and why? And we'll make it quick.
I'm
Hmm.
going top of head. I'm going Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, that's a good one.
Woman, innovator. How did you do it? Like, how did you hang in there for so long? Like, yeah, I had to go with what was the top of my head.
Yeah, I love that.
Would love to
That's
meet
what
her.
that's what I want
Love
to,
to meet her.
yeah, cool. I love these answers whenever I ask this question.
And it could be somebody living, right?
Good
It's
living,
okay.
deceased,
Yeah,
it does it
living.
either way. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why, but this person, Diane von Furstenberg, just came into my head.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, because she's done a lot of work around women and empowerment and just hearing her story, like coming up as this icon, and she's lived so long and has seen so much. And yeah, I'd love to hear her take on how she started out and what she thinks of where we are now. So yeah.
Love it.
And Linda and I were at her store a few years ago for an event, and it was really fun.
Uh, well, thank you, ladies, for sharing that. I love these
Thank
answers.
you.
It always gives us insight into and other ideas of who we want to sit with and talk with too. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for listening. If you're watching Judy, Linda, and I on YouTube, please subscribe, hit that subscribe button because that allows us to share Judy and Linda with more people. Also, leave a comment below. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or anywhere else, and there is an opportunity to leave a 5-star review and comment, please do so. Because again, that also helps us reach more people and allow my beautiful guests who come on here and share their expertise and wisdom and their journeys of empowerment and how they move through challenges and fear with more people to empower more women. This is the passion of mine, is to help empower women to be seen and heard. And we can only do that with your help of sharing these episodes and sharing my incredible guests. If you feel like you're staying stuck and you own a business and you want to get further faster and you're seeing that you're just doing all the things but not as visible as you want to, go ahead and download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint and grab that. It's free, and go rock and roll and make it happen. Linda and Judy, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so grateful.
Thank you,
You.
Heidi. This was
And
great.
don't leave after I hit the stop button because I have
Okay.
something
We
to
won't
share with
leave.
you of what you're getting. But thank you all for being here. Thank you, ladies. I'm so grateful for your time and your expertise, and I'm excited for the women in your most recent cohort that launched yesterday.
Thank you.
If you're wanting to be in the next cohort, make sure you or want to learn more about it, reach out to Judy and Linda and find out what that happens, because this one goes till June. There's more to come. And go grab their freebies on their website, evolveme.work. And we will see you on the next episode of the Be She podcast. In the meantime, be empowered to be seen and heard.